Well, boss, you are totally right. Whenever I speak about delivery business in general, I'm so optimistic because I'm so happy because there's a lot of cash to make in that industry. The industry is growing like crazy. But in today's conversation, I want to focus on hotshot trucking business. I want to elucidate, I want to clarify everything you need to know if you want to start a successful hotshot trucking business and quickly make some serious, consistent paper. Very important. So I want you to stick around, boss, until the end of today's conversation so you have a clear idea on how you can make that paper. You are doing fantastic. I'm doing marvelous, if you were to ask me. If you are doing as great as I am, go grab a cup of coffee or tea or vodka. Now let's roll. In today's conversation, I want to speak to you about a very important and profitable niche in the trucking business. That's called hotshot trucking. And we want to talk about hotshot trucking business, but let me just clarify things for you. What is hotshot trucking? At its simplest, hotshot trucking means hauling smaller LTL, less than truckload loads. Okay, so they are often time sensitive and usually delivered to a single destination. For example, let's say you have a construction company that needs a specific piece of equipment delivered from one job site to another, right? In that case, they will often quote unquote hotshot it, meaning they will hire a driver to take the load from one location to another quickly. So instead of being on standby, hotshot drivers often find freight on load boards, so this is a great opportunity to make extra cash as an independent owner-operator. So how do you actually start a hotshot trucking business, a profitable one, and start making that cash, making that dough, making that paper real quick? First of all, you got to be ready, boss. You got to be ready. Get your finances in order to start a hotshot trucking business because there are a lot of initial costs, and you got to plan that part too. So when starting a hotshot trucking business, first, take stock of what equipment you already have. This is important, and what you need to buy. So you first look at what you have and then figure out what you need to buy and make sure you have the money to cover it. Okay, if you don't have the cash, you can probably just get a loan. But those are things I want you to think beforehand. You need to think about those things beforehand. So you also need operating cash to help you get through the startup period until your hotshot business is profitable. So people talk about 10 grand. Some people talk about 5 grand. It all depends on where you live. It depends on the opportunities where you live and the cost also. It's essential to figure out how and what you will need to pay yourself because you're not working for free. I mean, this ain't no charity. This is a business. So you gotta pay yourself. And one minimum profit you will need to succeed. So people talk about break-even analysis. I don't have time to go into that detail here, but yet you got to think about profit, the minimum profit you need to have. You also need to think about the systems and tools in place to track and record your expenses, your payments, and other important information. Okay. And if you need financing, you need to actually think about having a business plan. Okay. You could ask for loans from your friends or family, or you can try getting investors. So this is where you will need a business plan if you want to convince others to help you with funding. Okay, so all the things I will mention, all the things that I'm mentioning in this video will be part of that effort to get the financing you need, especially if you don't have the cash to finance your hotshot trucking business. So step number 1, you got to be ready, boss. Be ready. Step number 2, you got to niche down. Don't try to cover the whole 9 yards. People try to do a lot of stuff at the same time. No, you want to pick a specific industry and you want to zero in on very specifically on that particular industry. So if you're just starting in hotshot freight hauling, you likely don't have enough equipment to handle multiple kinds of loads. So the good news is that if you specialize in the types of freight you haul based on the equipment you have, you will find more jobs easily. So there are different kinds of trucks and trailers to handle different types of loads. So most hotshot trucks are medium-sized, but typically larger than pickup trucks. So trucks comes in classes. So you have class 3. So there's class 3 medium-duty trucks. Those have a weight limit of 10,000 to 14,000 pounds. So mainly contractors and last-mile delivery drivers use this class, but you can also use them for lighter hotshot loads. You have class 4 medium duty trucks. They have a weight limit of 14,000 to 16,000 pounds. So these are heavier trucks, but they are still classified as non-commercial. And then you have class 5 medium duty trucks that have a weight limit of 16,000 to 19,500 pounds. So many of the lightest commercial trucks have are categorized as class 5. So you have this dichotomy, this distinction here. Okay, class 3, class 4, class 5, and all of them have different specifications. So you can use trailers for some jobs. For example, bumper pull trailers. So these are generally shorter and less expensive, so they are easy to use, which is why they are popular with civilian drivers, but they cannot haul as much, especially if you're looking for loads that are above 10,000 pounds. You also have gooseneck trailers. Those have a tighter turn radius than bumper pull trailers. They can also usually carry larger, heavier loads, okay? And what we have seen in our research is that this can be an advantage when delivering to a construction site or other remote areas with little space to turn around. This is you got to think about geography here. Very important. You also have tilt deck trailers. They actually tilt at an angle, so basically what happens here is that it's a lot easier to load heavy cargo. You have low boy trailers. Those are pretty good in terms of their maneuverability because they have a low center of gravity, which is ideal for the heaviest loads. And then you have dovetail trailers, which work well if you are hauling cars or other equipment with wheels. Okay, so you got to think about flexibility. You got to think about mechanical flexibility here in the type of trailer that you actually choose. Either you choose a bumper pull trailer, a gooseneck trailer, a tilt deck trailer, a low boy trailer, or a dovetail trailer. Very important to make the right specification. It is very important. Boss, so number one, be ready financially, be ready strategically, be ready in terms of organization. Number two, you want to niche down. You want to choose the type of job that you want to focus on. Very important, because the bottom line is what? The bottom line is to make that paper real quick. The third thing you need to do is to get legit. So when we talk about getting legit, it's about making sure that you present a professional face to your clients, to your business partners, to everybody, to your key stakeholders. First thing you got to do, create an LLC. Okay, you need to have a limited liability corporation or other company structure. This could be an S corp, this could be a C corporation, this could be an LP, whatever it is. Okay, but not a sole proprietorship, because you really want to segregate. You want to separate your business affairs from your personal affairs. And an LLC is kind of cool also when it comes to liability, personal liability, because you will be protected. Okay, and so one thing I want to say here is that an LLC is the simplest way to organize a business and is best for most hotshot businesses with pass-through income. So this helps you avoid the double taxation that you will encounter in some states with a C corporation or another structure. So you can file LLC paperwork with the Secretary of State in most states, and most have online options in place. We have covered this topic on other shows, but boss, if you are interested, if you have other questions, just drop them below in the comment section and we'll certainly answer you. Or you can go to our tax. We have a very comprehensive tax folder that talks about LLC taxation and all that kind of good stuff. So after creating your LLC, don't forget you need to obtain an EIN. So an EIN is an employer identification number. So this is a number, a 9-digit number issued to your company by the IRS. And this is an alternative to using your social security number, because you are able to actually again, going back to what I said about segregating your personal affairs from your business's affairs. Okay, and so you can also get other benefits. In other words, you can open a business bank account for your hotshot business. Okay, this is you can have a business credit card, you can get business loans and whatnot. And so the third thing is you want to open a business bank account. I just said it. So once you have your LLC set up and you have your EIN, you want to obtain a business bank account. You should do this to keep, as I said before, going back to the segregation, the separation thing I talked about. You want to keep your business and personal finances separate. This will be essential at tax time, because the IRS, God forbid, the IRS audits you if you are not clearly segregating your personal and business finances. This could be a problem. But it's also important to help you track expenses and income and determine if your hotshot trucking business is profitable. Most local banks offer good business checking plans, and some offer online banking. Step number 4, boss. I want you to think about complying. Complying is so critical. When we talk about logistics and freight business, you got to comply. If you want to make money, if you want to make some serious cash, some serious consistent paper in this industry, you got to comply. First, you want to get a commercial driver's license. So you will need to get a commercial driver's license if you don't already have one. So this licenses come in various levels depending on the type of vehicle you will be driving and the load you will carry. For instance, you might need a hazmat certification to carry medical loads. So the rules vary by states, and there are various driving schools and testing options. So you also need to get a motor vehicle record, an MVR. So getting an MVR is pretty easy in most states, but it pays to plan in case of delays. So there is usually a fee involved, and some states now have online options and digital downloads. This is kind of cool, okay? In other states, hotshot truck drivers may have to pick up a physical copy or wait for it to be mailed. You can learn about, you just have to go to your state MVR, to your state Department of Motor Vehicle to learn more about that. So besides getting a commercial driver's license, a motor vehicle record, you also need to obtain a transportation workers identification credential, a TWIC. Okay, so while hotshot trucking requirements do not mean that truck drivers must obtain a transportation workers identification credential, the credential can help you to broaden, and this is important. If you want to make more money, you want to broaden the types of loads you can haul, right? A TWIC lets you access secure areas such as ports and airports, and TWIC is regulated under the Maritime Transportation Act. So we're talking here about federal regulations here. So if you plan to do any drayage, trucking, or move containers between ports or secured warehouses, you will need a TWIC. So hotshot truck drivers need to undergo a security threat assessment by the TSA, including a background check. This is important. So if you plan to, you got to think about that. So to get that credential, you have to undergo a security check. Also, you need to apply for a Department of Transportation, a DOT number. A DOT number is important, okay? So hotshot trucks can get their own trucking authority, establishing their Department of Transportation and MC number connected to their LLC. But if you are only doing hotshot trucking, it may not be worth getting your own authority because it involves a lot of paperwork, okay? So you could also lease on another company's authority, so they put their numbers on your truck. Essentially, they lease, quote unquote, they lease your vehicle from you. So most companies charge for this service, but it is an easier way to go. Either way, you will need a DOT number to operate your business. Now, you also need to get a DOT physical and medical card. So hotshot truck drivers may also be required to undergo a DOT physical and get a medical card. This is a health examination to ensure commercial truck drivers are physically, mentally, and emotionally fit to be hauling loads. And the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, the FMCSA, requires drivers to complete and pass a DOT physical to maintain a commercial driver's license if they operate a motor vehicle for interstate commerce in certain vehicle weight classes or haul any hazardous materials. Let's talk about the next. You need to manage risk, boss. We are still having a conversation about hotshot trucking business. How do you make that paper from day one? How do you make money? How do you keep making that cash? There are a few steps you need to follow, okay? So managing risk is really important. You need to get the right level of insurance. Now, the thing is, you will need a few kinds of insurance. Business insurance protects your LLC from liability and other claims, and you will need vehicle insurance as well. So you want to sit down with an experienced insurance agent who knows the transportation industry to review your options. And that agent can help you with a business evaluation and make sure you have everything you need to protect your hotshot business, yourself, and your family should something go wrong. And you know what, boss? Anything can go wrong. So don't take this lightly. This is important, okay? And don't be a stingy ass and trying to get very cheap insurance. No. Now, I want you to look right now on the screen. Look on the screen right now. Do not fall for insurance companies trying to razzle dazzle you and sell you insurance you don't need at this point in time. So it's very important. Look on the screen. So you see on the screen right now, you have a constellation of insurance products. There are that they trying to set that Century, for example. And I'm not saying they're a bad company or anything, but I'm just saying that you have to be very careful when you buy insurance, at least at the beginning, because you have to protect your liquidity. So only buy insurance that you need. Okay, so you can see on the screen they have a constellation of insurance products, but honestly, you only need 3. At this point in time, when you start your hotshot trucking business, you only need 3. You need commercial auto liability. So if your business includes employees or customers driving your hotshot truck, you will need this commercial auto liability. You also need general liability insurance. So this protects against liability claims for your business. Okay, so coverage options here include product liability, cyber liability, and errors and omissions. E&O is very important. Errors and omissions is very important. And the third thing you need is physical damage insurance. So weather, animals, other drivers, all things that can damage your vehicle. So those are the 3 things. Anything else, they're just trying to razzle dazzle you. They're just trying to suck some cash out of you. Okay. Now, if you have cash and you think you need that coverage, okay, go ahead and do it. Okay. Now, in terms of managing risk, you need to also prepare your truck. So getting your truck prepared means installing any hitches or other equipment, adding the dot and MC numbers, and ensuring you have all lights, appropriate placards, and other items in place to comply with dot regulations. Very important. You want to install phone or GPS holders to keep your hands free for driving for comfort and safety. Very critical. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another session of the Awesome Sweetie Kiwi Show. Boss, I'm still having a conversation with you about hotshot trucking business. How do you actually start everything? How do you make money from day one? How do you get that paper coming over and over and over? Now, step number 6, you need to get equipped. So you need to purchase or lease the right truck. We have covered this on another show, so it's really important. If you don't have the right kind of vehicle already, you will need to lease or buy the truck. So leases have some advantages and typically allow you to get newer or better equipment that you couldn't otherwise afford. But with a lease, you don't own the vehicle. You can buy out your lease at the end, but it can be more expensive in the long run. Okay, so if you finance a truck or let's say a flatbed trailer, you will own it outright once you have paid off the loan. So paying cash is an even better option if you have the cash for it, right? So owning your truck outright means you won't have monthly payments as you do with leasing. And many hotshot truckers lease trucks initially and then switch to ownership when they have more working capital and their business is more stable and profitable. You need to purchase the necessary equipment. So boss, I'm going to show you a series of pictures on the screen and I just want you to pay attention. So once you have your truck, it's time to get a trailer. You also need tie downs, come-alongs, and other standard equipment. Okay, so we are going to go in details here. So you will need a load board software tool so that you can actually access high-paying loads to transport. You will need a smart toolbox because space is always at a premium in a tractor. So you want to store tiny essential tools like screwdrivers and vice grips in a small toolbox and save the bulky stuff for the trailer. You will need a good pair of work gloves, very important. You will need multiple ratchet or winch straps. Okay, this is kind of cool. You will need crescent wrenches. So those are really important in terms of if they actually come in handy for things like odd shaped bolts and nuts and simple quick adjustments. You want to have combination wrenches. You want to have an emergency space blanket. You want to have corner protectors. You want to think about having vice grips. Think about wire cutters, electrical tape, electrical wire. You want to think about having a light test kit and also want to have a sledgehammer. Okay, so not only are slash hammers great for unsticking stuck fifth wheels or other fasteners, but they're also good for quick tire pressure checks. Very important. You also want to think about a pressure gauge. So because sometimes you might have like a tire that sounds different, you'll need to verify the pressure level with a pressure gauge. Think about flashlights. The more the better. Don't you have only one flashlight? Think about having many. Think about jumper cables. Think about tire depth gauge. Think about aluminum walk ramps. They are very important in terms of protecting your physical mobility, your physical integrity. Okay. Think about a dog bone wrench, a multi-head screwdriver, a metal rod. This is important. Safety glasses, a heavy-duty box knife. Think about a socket set. Think about bungee cords. Think about zip ties. Now, zip ties are very important because nothing beats a good zip tie for many tasks, from, let's say, bundling electrical wires to holding cords or other items out of the way. And this is important, especially if you are doing hotshot trucking in a very, let's say, in a construction zone or with a sense of emergency. This is important, okay? And what I want to say here is that you want to store a variety of this zip ties in different lengths and thicknesses. You can typically find variety packs at truck stops or hardware stores. Think also about getting heat shrink tubbing, because heat shrink tubbing is another good hack for emergency electrical repairs. The thing is that when you operate a hotshot trucking business, emergencies are part of the business. They happen. They will happen. Okay, so you want to use the heat shrink tubbing to cover two spliced wire and keep them safe from the elements. One thing I want to say here is that heat shrink tubbing also is great in terms of helping you carry, let's say, multiple sizes. Okay, the color of the tubbing usually indicates the size or gauge. So these are really, really important. And one thing I want to say also is that heat shrink tubbing also can help you be safe in various circumstances. Also, think about having a lighter. Okay, so you might need to melt heat shrink tubbing to make emergency electrical repairs. Okay, so you want to keep a lighter and extra fluid around for a fast flame. So disposable stick style lighters are cheap and easy to find, and you can also invest in a good Zippo that will last a lifetime. So those two are related: a lighter and heat shrink tubbing. Also, think about oil. Very important. Okay, you want to have that. You want to think about a coolant also. So coolant is as vital to your engine as oil. So this is kind of important. Think about silicone. Okay, so a quick sealant job can get you to the next repair shop or even protect your cargo from small leaks. So we talked earlier about risks and insurance and all that kind of stuff. So silicone is really important. Think about rags also. So the road can be a messy place, so have rags and a roll of disposable shop towels ready to quickly clean up splits or grease. Think about WD-40. Okay, think about spare fuses. Think about spare fuel filters. This is really important. Think about a fuel filter wrench. So to replace fuel filters, you need the correct wrench. And to have the correct wrench is really a matter of safety also. So there are adjustable options, but they usually have a narrow wrench. So check that you have the proper wrench before you hit the road. Think about extra belts and hoses. This is really important. We are speaking here about safety once again, okay? If possible, carry extra belts and hoses so you can quickly replace them on the road. So if you cannot carry the exact replacement hoses, store universal hose replacement in varying sizes so you can make emergency fixes. Think about ice scrapers and snow brushes. Think about hammers, okay? Besides your small sledgehammer for checking tire pressure and other small jobs, carrying a larger hammer when you need some extra oomph or to get something unstruck. So one thing we have seen in our research is that those are important, especially depending on the niche you're in. Think about a first aid kit, okay, just in case. You never know, boss, you never know, things happen on the road. Okay, think about a lumbar support cushion. So the cool thing is that this sort of equipment help you. Why? You got to think about your back, because truck drivers spend long hours on the road, and even the most comfortable seat can put pressure on your lower back and legs. So think about that, okay? And think about emergency food. This is really important. Emergency rations are really important because, some truckers like to eat most of their meals in the truck, while others prefer truck stops and diners. But if you find yourself stranded due to a breakdown, a weather delay, or even a backup at a loading dock, guess what? You'll be glad to have some emergency food on board. This is why this is so critical. So now that you have a clear idea of the kind of equipment that you need to have, let's talk about revenue. Because again, the goal here is to generate that paper as soon as possible. You got to make revenue. You got to generate that cash, right? So you want to set your rate per mile, your rate per mile. So when you put together your business plan, you probably outline what you need to make your business profitable. Now is the time to figure out your rate per mile. Be sure to look at what your competitors are charging, so you are relatively in range. Okay, and it's not about trying to be. It's not about trying to price too aggressively. You want to price at a level where you are making money, but also you will be attracting the right kind of high-paying clients. This is very important. You want to find hotshot loads. Okay, now that you have everything in place, you need to get your truck moving. So hotshot load boards are the best way to find loads nearby from reliable and qualified sources. The easiest way is to use a load board such as a Truck Stop or DATS, or there are other players in the field. Also use invoices factoring to get paid faster. I know that the thing is, when we talk about invoice factoring, some truckers, they say, well, I'm not really sure about that. Well, listen, boss, it's all about your liquidity level, your liquidity situation, your cash position. Do you need cash fast, or you can wait? If you can wait 30 days or 60 days, then you don't need invoice factoring. But if you need the money fast, then invoice factoring could be a good option for you. Okay? Because if you think about it, cash flow can be critical when you first start your hotshot trucking business. So if you use a factoring service, you are more likely to get paid faster. Okay, this is what it is. And the cool thing here is that there are a lot of factoring services out there. If you need more information about this, please drop us a comment below, drop us a question below. We are actually working on a video to actually show the top 10 invoice factoring companies for truckers. And this is something that will really be helpful to you, because again, you don't have to wait 30 days, you don't have to wait 60 days to get your cash, because you know that the invoice factoring company, the factor will pay you right away. Obviously they'll get their fees. So instead of getting $1 per dollar, they paying you maybe 90 cents per dollar or 85 cents on a dollar, but it's still great anyway, because you get your cash real fast. Thank you so much for your attention in today's conversation. I was just talking to you about how to start a hotshot trucking business and how to make the business profitable from day one. So I spoke about being ready, niching down, getting legit, complying, managing risk, getting equipped, and last but not the least, planning revenue. Thank you so much. God bless you. I'll see you next time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.